Good afternoon, everyone. So this session is a little bit special because we're going to talk about two exciting new solutions. Esri solutions are a mix of innovative user experience, technologies, and existing ArcGIS capabilities. So we'll start with ArcGIS Urban, a solution that simplifies collaboration around urban planning activities and real estate projects. And we continue with ArcGIS Indoors, which enable location intelligence inside facilities. So try to remember these two icons because you will be able to refer to them at the top left corner of the screen throughout the presentation. ArcGIS Urban is an immersive 3D experience designed to drive smart urban planning and development. Our cities are under intense economic, social, and environmental stress. And to fix it, a lot of people agree that we need a major paradigm shift in our development model. So when you live in Singapore or any other large, vibrant city, no matter where you are, you can always spot at least 3 to 5 cranes overhead or a construction site nearby. Currently, we see that major stakeholders in the development of our urban landscapes are not synchronized and don't have a common platform from which to address major challenges. So this many times results in unintended consequences or controversial development. Some of these challenges include the basic fact that cities need a map of what's being planned and what's being built and where. The process of reviewing new development too often relies on the developer's illustration and not on a spatial evaluation. Current methods to update zoning and methods to conduct future land and land use change scenario for specific areas or districts are highly manual, time-consuming, and costly. And overall, a more web-based, crowdsourced approach is needed for gathering stakeholders and community input on plans and projects. And currently, there is no common environment or platform in the market today for holistically visualizing, designing, and sharing what's being planned and what's being built. With ArcGIS Urban, we capture business value with some key capabilities. First, the ability to visualize projects city-wide, both internally but also in a shared public view. Here we can see the pilot put together with the city of Boston. We see that our users would like to establish a representation of their building submission pipeline that can then be shared across agencies and with the public. The second key business value is improving planning productivity. The web-based tools in ArcGIS Urban blend spatial information into a focused set of scenario planning capabilities, allowing the many stakeholders involved in the planning process to plan together. Planning for a new district typically requires the collaboration of multiple agencies because each of them own a part of the plan. ArcGIS Urban can increase transparency and understanding by evaluating proposed projects as they are submitted for permitting. For many years, Singapore has had a formal BIM submission policy for new developments, and incorporating BIM and other types of 3D models into the project review process can reduce the time necessary during review period while encouraging projects that align with the design objectives. And finally, ArcGIS Urban drives better engagement. We are working with the city of Zurich, among others, to develop the capabilities for public comment. We see that by initially setting up ArcGIS Urban for internal cross-agency use, the next step will be to leverage the public face of Urban by sharing plans and projects. Now let me introduce some of the main components of ArcGIS Urban. Urban leverages a 3D city model, or in other words, a 3D base map, as context for visualizing and mapping changes happening throughout the city. Parcels, usually cadastral parcels, are identified by a unique code. In Urban, they host capacity metrics like population, number of jobs, or households. Zoning boundaries are often representing a group of parcels, define areas inside which applies zoning code. So zoning code are legal documents describing the characteristics of the development allowed inside a zoning boundary. For example, what setback should be applied from the parcel boundary, what are the maximum building heights, or what maximum density is allowed on the parcel. Plans describe long-term vision of how large areas should be transformed over time. They often span over 5 to 50 years and are critical to the growth strategy of cities, with important impact at large scales. And projects are typically 1 to 5 years real estate development or improvements of existing infrastructure. Large projects may be split into multiple sub-projects running concurrently. So their life cycle is similar across cities, but they may be subject to local regulations. And indicators are overlay of information like demographic changes, traffic, accessibility, natural risk that provide insights about the existing condition or future projections within a city. So now let's see Urban in action. ArcGIS Urban is a web-centric modeling and planning system, able to dynamically stream realistic and detailed 3D models directly through any standard web browser. Here you can see San Francisco and the city's 3D model. This layer of buildings, trees, and bridges provide context to the numerous plans and projects going on throughout the city. So let's switch to a schematic visualization of the 3D base map, as we're going to focus on all these transactions happening in the city, represented by these colored symbols and building shell. The main components of ArcGIS Urban are denoted by these icons: projects, plans, indicators, ideas. Indicators are useful demographic or other analytical data presented as compiled cards. You can author your own. So in the General tab, you'll be able to set the name of the indicator, a short description, eventually the start and end date when it applies. In the Sources tab, then you'll indicate the URL of the layer that represents that indicator. And in the Sharing tab, the owner of that layer will be able to share it publicly if necessary. Otherwise, you'll be also able to use one of Esri's pre-authored and curated indicators, like this indicator of population change, for example. Let's take a look at all the ongoing plans that the city is currently working on. Many cities around the world are facing strong population growth, along with the pressure on housing. So from its conception in 1981, Mission Bay was regarded as the economic engine that would drive San Francisco into the 21st century. With ArcGIS Urban, we wanted to create a tool that would make it possible to bring together all the different stakeholders around a common base model of existing conditions, a common understanding of what's changing, and the tools to guide this change. So let's jump into this plan area and use ArcGIS Urban to explore some alternative scenario from Mission Bay. So when you create a new plan, Urban automatically creates a copy of the parcels, zoning, overlays, and other information within the extent. So on the left side panel, this plan controls editing capabilities for each of the different layers. So if we look at the zoning boundaries, we can see a full breakdown of every zone in the plan. Existing and proposed zones, each zone has a spatial extent and a set of parameters that determine the regulatory conditions. So these parameters reflect the underlying zoning code. Things like maximum height, coverage, FAR or plot ratio, multi-level setbacks, allowed space use. Once you load the zoning code into Urban, you can make changes and propose new zones. Changes to these parameters at the zoning level can have broad effect across many parcels that may fall within. The parcels are the geometry to which the zoning parameters are applied. Let me turn on the zoning envelope. So this represents the maximum 3D extent that a building would need to fall within to be legally viable. In plans, redevelopments are represented by the future building layer. So these plausible building types can guide a better understanding of development outcomes, and the types can be configured and localized. So now we're going to switch to another scenario that we're currently working on. Urban has tools that support merging and splitting parcels. So you can also create new parcels or retire them. And all of these changes, whether edits to geometries or new zoning changes, are stored within the active scenario. In this example, I want to reduce the size of one parcel and increase the size of the adjacent parcel. So I'm going to select the first parcel. Here I'll be able to split that first parcel. Okay. And I am going to merge these two parcels to increase the size of the parcel on the right. In ArcGIS Urban dashboard, we have a lot of useful information to help guide this design of our plan. Here we see a set over there of 3 predefined capacity indicators: population, number of households, and jobs. So for each of them, we know what are the current values of these indicators for the existing situation, the new value for this scenario, and the targeted value for the set for this plan. So the dashboard also displays the distribution and total area for each of the building spaces, as you can see here. And based on the building type selected of this scenario, I also have the distribution of the different zoning area. So if we look at the capacity indicators, we see that we have a significant excess of population and households and a shortfall of jobs. So we're going to adjust the design of our scenario to get closer to the objectives defined. So in order to do that, I'm going to select 3 parcels with the building type set as mid-rise residential, which increase population and households. And I'm going to switch to mid-rise office with retail in order to create more jobs. So this scenario is now expected to create more jobs, and we have finally reached the targeted change for this plan. In addition to web-based planning tools, Urban can facilitate small and large-scale projects. The Project tab provides a list of whole city view and where projects are and what is their status. So let's take a look at an example project. Visualizing a new proposed building in its surrounding context minimizes unnecessary bottlenecks in the review process, offering better collaboration with real estate developers, as iterations are usually required. And project details can be provided to better engage with citizens and improve understanding. The configuration pane is where you add the details about the project. Okay, so here you can set the name, the address, the short descriptions, the URL for marketing purpose. It's going to link you to the marketing website, for example. Each project can have multiple scenarios from early draft to finalized build submission from sources like Revit. And sharing settings can also be set on each project, which gives you only the project owner's identity, the ability to make it public. So the last component that we're going to cover today are ideas. Ideas are digital sticky notes that can be used to collect citizen feedback in spatial context. So each idea has an identity if the user is logged in, or anonymous depending on how you want to deploy it. You can deep dive in each of them and vote them up or down. And you can also filter by mood to see only a subset of the ideas. So we are really excited at how ArcGIS Urban delivers a growing amount of urban data and analytics in the hands of city planners and citizens. In addition, this year we released City Engine 2019, and I'm happy to announce that City Engine 2019 has integration and data exchange capability with ArcGIS Urban. So this means that you can log into ArcGIS Urban through City Engine and connect to plans and projects that you may be working on in the web. We see this supporting important workflows associated with downstream design advancement, impact assessment, and the ability to leverage our last Unreal Engine VR and rendering templates, as seen in the video here. To summarize and close this first part of the presentation, ArcGIS Urban is Esri's immersive 3D experience designed to improve urban planning, quickly visualize projects in the local context, and leverage location intelligence to drive better decisions. Urban also simplifies project collaboration across internal agencies and public stakeholders. Now we're going to leave the urban scale for a moment to zoom into a new uncharted territory for location intelligence and GIS practitioners, indoors. Small indoor environments like this one are easy to understand and navigate, but as our building infrastructure are getting taller and bigger, so does their complexity. With new technologies in building design and construction, developers and investors have pushed the boundaries of their imagination. The scale at which we build is unprecedented. Thousands of people work in large offices like these. And modern spaces can be particularly challenging to navigate, to manage, and to keep them running. Esri's new solution for indoors is going to change the way we work inside facilities. It's estimated that about 2/3 of organizations rely on email, pen and paper, and project files to carry out workplace planning and management. ArcGIS Indoors helps you organize, visualize, and access facility information across sites, buildings, floors, and maintain a common digital representation of indoor and outdoor spaces across your organization. Indoors makes location of people, places, and assets, and all their related information easily accessible. ArcGIS Indoors makes mobility at the workplace easier and boosts your employees' productivity, especially in large and complex sites like offices, airports, ports, hospitals, industrial plants, and campuses. And the same solution and data supports the planning and execution of your day-to-day facility management activities. So what are the main components of ArcGIS Indoors? First of all, it gives you a data model and a set of tools to help you prepare and organize the data of your facilities. Web and mobile application templates to quickly configure apps to interact with the facility data, and an indoor positioning system to enable location indoor. This is how the data model looks like and how sites and facilities are described. It also contains the network dataset that enables indoor routing. The default data model can be extended if necessary. These are the tools I was talking about 2 slides earlier. In fact, these are geoprocessing models to help you convert your facility data, which are commonly captured in CAD and BIM. So this is where you integrate the floor plans in 2D and 3D, the 3D network data set, the points of interest into the indoor data model. The application templates help you configure the Kiosk and computer web apps. So the Kiosk app essentially enables the touchscreen experience. You'll be able to search places, people, and POIs and browse the different categories. So categories are, for example, lifestyle or business categories of things that you might want to search or navigate to. Feedback can be captured with the integration to ArcGIS Survey 1 to 3 forms, and you also have the option to brand indoors apps to match your organization logo, icon, and colors. The mobile applications offer similar functionalities on mobile devices. You can report events or incidents with the integration of ArcGIS Survey 1 to 3 mobile app. The integration with other Esri and third-party apps will be available at a later release. So if an indoor positioning system has been set up, you'll be able to know your current location, share this location with others, and enable device tracking. ArcGIS Indoors supports indoor positioning system, also called IPS. We have all noticed what happens when we are following our GPS of our phone, and as soon as we walk inside a building or underground, the GPS signal is lost, and the navigation experience suddenly stops. So this is the problem that an IPS addresses. An IPS is a network of low-power sensors placed throughout a facility, mounted on walls, ceiling, and other elements. As of today, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi sensors are supported, and Indoors also support GPS location to provide a seamless indoor and outdoor positioning experience. At the current version, which requires ArcGIS Enterprise 10.7.1, you are able to deploy the web applications with Portal for ArcGIS. The web app will appear as app templates inside Portal, and we now have real-time sharing of location for those who enable it. And we have integration with work orders coming from other systems. Feature editing is supported on the mobile and soon on the web. So what's next? This roadmap gives you an idea of what the future of ArcGIS Indoors might be. An important part of the work will be to make indoor locations, positioning, and indoors information available across the ArcGIS platform. More specifically, the roadmap also focuses on increasing out-of-the-box ArcGIS Indoors support for more IPS, using different types of sensors, and to give the ability to customize your own IPS connectors. So this was the last slide of the presentation for ArcGIS Indoors. Please take note that ArcGIS Urban is only available on ArcGIS Online at the moment, and that ArcGIS Indoors require ArcGIS Enterprise 10.7 and above. If you'd like to directly get in touch with us to learn more about Urban and Indoors, please scan this QR code and leave us a message. So we'll be happy to discuss how these solutions are being used specifically in an organization like yours and how you can deploy them. After the user conference, we will share the presentations online, so you can refer to those links to continue learning about Urban and Indoors. Thank you for your attention, and back to you anyway.